This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're coming to you from the Dawson James Small Cap Growth Conference 2016 in Jupiter, Florida. I have with me Seth Grae from Lightbridge Corp. It's a publicly traded company on NASDAQ, and the symbol is LTBR. Seth, welcome back.
Pleasure to be with you again, Shelley.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Let's start out with an overview on Lightbridge, and then we'll go from there, if you would.
Right. Lightbridge has been working very closely with the largest nuclear utilities in the country, trying to figure out a way to solve their biggest problems, which is how do you improve the economics of the existing reactors and improve the safety. And we've invented a technology that uniquely does both. And we're making tremendous progress working with both suppliers and customers in the industry on this unique technology that we think will play a significant role in helping the country and the world meet both its energy and climate needs.
How does it work?
Well, kind of like going from leaded fuel to unleaded fuel in a car where you keep the same machine but use a different fuel. Lightbridge invented a new kind of fuel rod that will work in the existing reactors. And this rod allows for increased power from the existing reactors. It allows for a longer fuel cycle, so the reactors are shut down fewer days per year, generating electricity more days per year. That also means fewer outages, which each cost the utilities millions of dollars just to conduct the outage, and we save that money. And it looks like under the Clean Power Plan here and similar arrangements around the world, more carbon credits, tradable carbon credits that are also worth money. And you'll see on the Lightbridge website an independent study done by Siemens. That validates the economic benefits. So how does it work? Right now the fuel used in reactors is made out of ceramic in a metal tube. And this is a very inefficient way to generate the heat needed to heat up the water in a reactor that then makes steam, spins a turbine, and makes the electricity, because a lot of that heat stays trapped in the center line of these ceramic pellets that make up this nuclear fuel stacked in a tube. At Lightbridge, we invented a solid metal rod where the center line of this rod is about 1,200 degrees Celsius cooler than down the middle of the current rods used in a reactor. Overall, the fuel is about 1,000 degrees Celsius cooler. This prevents any hydrogen generation, which is what exploded at Fukushima, prevents that from being generated in a what's called design basis loss of coolant accident when the reactor's losing water. By switching from ceramic to metals as the material in the reactor fuel, but still using uranium and zirconium, but uranium in a metallic form, the heat transfer is just dramatically better. By using a metal, we were able to shape the fuel almost like a propeller instead of being round. So there's a 40% faster heat path for the fuel to get out of the rod. It's a shorter path, and there's about 40% greater surface area where the rod touches the water. And part of what's interesting here is that the pumps in the reactor are very important, obviously, to circulate the water through the core. And at Lightbridge, what we found is that a lot of the power of the pumps is used to squeeze the water through the core around these grates that are called spacer grids that hold the fuel rods in place. We don't need these with our fuel. They're what's called self-spacing. And by getting rid of these spacer grids, the pumps can work less hard. So by, in a sense, making the pumps work harder, putting them back to the power they were before, you have greater water flow through the core, so the heat exchanger's taking more heat out of that water as you're moving more water through the core every second. So that's part of how you get a power uprate, where the pumps, just by working the same as they were before, are just moving more water because these spacer grids aren't blocking the flow. So it's a very high-tech product that we invented, we patented. We also have the intellectual property rights on the methods to manufacture it. And what we're looking forward to between now and the end of the year are some major commercial milestones, both on the supplier side and customer side, with some of the largest companies in the world in our industry.
So, technically, can your rods be retrofit to any nuclear power plant out in the market?
The rods can be retrofit into any water-cooled nuclear power plant in the market, which is virtually every nuclear power plant in the world and virtually every one under construction or being planned. There are a few very old type reactors in the UK and in Russia that are being phased out and won't be replaced that are not water-cooled reactors, but virtually every reactor in the world will soon be a water-cooled reactor and could use our fuel, both the existing reactors in the US and around the world, as well as the new ones being built.
That was my next question. So you have two markets. You have the original equipment manufacturing, and you have the retrofit market. With the way nuclear power is growing in the world, don't you actually see your sales tied to the growth of nuclear energy?
Well, a lot of people in the U.S. don't appreciate just how quickly nuclear is growing around the world in places like China, India, even the UK, the United Arab Emirates. It's a huge growth market that has to expand for the world to meet its climate change goals by having non-emitting electricity. So we can definitely have as our biggest current market the existing reactors switching to our fuel, like the utilities that are advising us here in the United States that have half the current reactors in the country. But in the end, the new reactors, particularly in countries like China, that will build more reactors than we have in the world today ultimately, will be our biggest market ultimately.
Seth, let's give your website out to our investor audience for more information, if you would.
LTBridge.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Grae, Lightbridge Corp. It's a publicly traded NASDAQ company, and the symbol is LTBR. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Dawson James Small Cap Growth Conference 2016 in Jupiter, Florida. Seth, thank you for coming back onto SNNLive.
Great pleasure being with you, Shelley.
You got it, pal.
Thank you.